Hello everyone and welcome back to the My Football Writer Norwich City channel. It's the first time I've ever said Norwich City in that, but hey ho, we'll move on. Of course, we're here to talk about Norwich City due to the shirt I'm wearing and their upcoming match on Saturday afternoon at Loftus Road against Queen's Park Rangers. Two teams who have started to maybe turn their form around a little bit. QPR are unbeaten in 3 matches, as are Norwich City. Norwich have picked up 7 points in their last 3 compared to QPR's 4, but the difference is QPR have got a few more points away than at home than away from home rather than Norwich have. Of course, Norwich's wins, there have been back-to-back wins, both been at Carrow Road against Plymouth Argyle and Luton Town, but away from home, even with a new manager, new players and a new system, Norwich still just seem to struggle that little bit whenever they go away from NR1 and they have to play elsewhere. But a ground in which maybe Norwich have had a few fortunes, drew their last season, won in the Carabao Cup, but have been relatively successful over their last few visits. A team who Norwich were at one stage about 11 or 12 years ago were fighting for the championship title with. So it's very intriguing how far these two teams have come, and QPR currently sat 23rd in the championship table, or if they may no longer be due to their last few results, but sitting around the relegation zone in the championship. Norwich 6 points adrift, or 5 points adrift rather, of the playoff places. Maybe they've started to just linger behind a little bit in their pursuit of a playoff place, but a game in which, even though they're away from home, Norwich should really be looking to win. They are the favourites on paper. They've just won back-to-back matches, scoring 10 goals, and they've got some, of course, on paper, the better side with better talent. But anyway, let's move into a bit of a preferred 11 from myself. I would keep Angus Gunn in goal. You know, he's fit and he is our best goalkeeper. And then into the back four, there's one change for me. And even though at the podcast we all said that Norwich's back four, their usual back four, well, I say usual, the back four which has played the last 2 matches of Stacey, Fisher, Duffy and Doyle is pretty much undroppable. There is one change for me, and that is Fisher being dropped for Chrysene at left back, Stacey at right back with Duffy and Doyle at centre half. Now, my reasoning for Fisher being dropped isn't because I think that he's not been playing well as a left back, or that I don't think he'll do well in this particular game. I think it's more to do with in the fact that Norwich have played a lot of games as of late. They've played, what is it? This will be 4 matches after QPR. I believe it's 4 matches in a week, which is very tough. But that's what this December period is all about, and the festive period. You do play a lot of football in this division and even in the Premier League, and well, at any level of football you play so many games during December and January, and I think it is more just for rotational reasons, but also in terms of just familiarity for Chrysene being a left footer playing on the left of defence. Now, Fisher, I am not saying I don't think he will be hindered because he's not a left footer playing at left back. He is phenomenal. He has really come into life in this Norwich team this season. He has really been a breath of fresh air. But I just think in terms of maybe he could be uncomfortable for him at times, and maybe that could just force a mistake. And in football, all it takes is one mistake, one lapse of concentration, and you may concede a goal. And that's not exactly a risk you want to take. But then again, with Fisher, he's just, even though there's the argument of inexperience being so young, it doesn't matter because he's kicked down the door of opportunity with every match. He really has been sensational. Stacey at right back has to be a given after how well he's played. He has been great. He has been, again, just after Torup didn't seem like he fancied him in this team. He's come in and again just kicked down the door of opportunity, and he's taken the ball by the horns. He has been, again, excellent, just so good going forward, and just offering another attacking outlet for Norwich. Duffy and Doyle centre half have just been great with alongside one another pretty much all season. You can't not play them as the 2 central defenders. So that would be the goalkeeper and back four for me. Moving into the midfield, I would, of course, I'd pretty much, again, just not bother to change it because it's been very good. Even though Marcelino Nunez is back and he could start, but Again, he's only played about 20 minutes since coming back from his injury. I think it's a bit too early to start him, but Yohannisov Torap may think differently, but that all depends on Nunez's training and how he's feeling, and if he feels he's ready to go and fully fit. I personally wouldn't start Nunez. I would keep with a midfield of Kenny McLean in the deep line playmaker role, which we all know he is just so good at, and he has been just so consistent in his almost a 6-year spell at Norwich. In fact, it is a 6-year spell, almost 7 years. He, again, just excellent. Anis Ben Slimane in midfield, again, as I'm pretty much going to say with so many of these players, again, just has really exceeded expectation. I feel Slimane, a player who could barely get in to a team who got a record-breaking goals conceded in the Premier League in Sheffield United, who got so few points, but he has really just been another revelation. He's such a fantastic player, and hopefully, based off what we've seen, that permanent signing is made. And then also Emi Marcondes, he's really come to life. Now, I'll sound like a broken record, and this has gone from a match preview to me praising every single Norwich player. But Marcondes, his just creativity and his footballing knowledge is incredible. And he's so gifted on the ball. And really, in terms of how Norwich have those midfield three, again, you can apply it to any game, but even Queen's Park Rangers this match, Slimane will help massively in the physical battle. It's what Norwich have lacked for so many years, but he adds that. He adds that that relentless energy and that heavy pressing and just a big physical presence to try and break up play and win a turnover pretty much on the halfway line, and then in 2 passes Norwich could get themselves a goal scoring opportunity. McLean as well can do that. Again, just does not stop running. Very aggressive as well, and his range of passing, again, just excellent. He can pick out any teammate, and again, that can be pivotal in any match, especially against QPR, who have got quite a few injuries there without Elias Chair, Karamoko Dembele as well. I believe Michael Frey, their main striker. So they've got a few creative players missing. Maybe that's when Norwich can maybe get themselves a bit more of a head start in the game. They can use their own players just to worry that they're the QPR reserves and just properly go for it and really just cause concern for them. Make it a difficult afternoon. And if the winds of Storm Darragh are still there, Kenny McLean can hit one long. If it catches the wind, who knows, it may end up in the back of the QPR net. But going into my front three, again, don't bother changing it. Borja Sainz, enough said, top scorer in the league. No reason not to play him. And in any game, he will cause any defence an amount of issues. Amankwa Forson on the right-hand side, which again, it's an interesting one for Norwich in that regard, in terms of they've got players who can play on that wing. Onel Hernandez can probably do a job on that wing, but he's not really a starter, you feel. He should be an impact player, much like he did against Luton. He came on with about 15 minutes to go, got the assist for the 4th goal, and helped Norwich wrap up 3 points, which, again, against any side in the league, a really pacey player who will just run at defences, cause issues, is a big problem for any fullback in the league. So he is realistically a player who you would look to bring off the bench. Christian Fasnacht is back from injury pretty much. He's getting that final few steps of recovery, but his tenure at Norwich hasn't really been the best. And then you have Kyde Gordon, who again has scored a goal for Norwich, but just doesn't seem to want to be played. He played for the under-21s in the Premier League Youth Invitational Cup against PSV, but it doesn't look like Torap fancies him as a starter, so it makes most sense to have Forson there, and up front, Ante Cifuentes will lead the line. And again, I said this at the podcast at the weekend. Again, this has gone from a match preview to pretty much me praising every Norwich player, but Cifuentes really has silenced a few doubters, myself included. I will gladly hold my hands up and I will apologise, because maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I wasn't sort of realising that there was a player there in terms of who's someone who maybe just needed a goal or two to come out of his shell and gain confidence. And that is exactly what he has done. He has scored 3 in his last 2 matches, which before that was only 1 goal in about 15, I believe. It was probably less than that, I'd imagine, but probably that's again me being a bit harsh. But it wasn't a great goal return, but he really has started to hit goal scoring form, which is amazing. You want that for a player who is going to be Norwich City's main striker until the new year. Josh Sargent, it was said by Johannes Torp, it is optimistic that Sargent will return by the end of 2024. So Sinat is going to be the main man, and with the goal scoring form he's in, if he can keep that up, maybe he can push for a start over Sargent, but that's a completely different argument for a different day. But that's my predicted lineup. But just slightly going back to the game again, so that we actually talk about it. Again, regardless of league positions, any game in the Championship is a tough one. Queen's Park Rangers included. Marti Cifuentes is a good manager, despite maybe what the league table might tell you. He last season came into QPR and their new manager bounce was amazing. He came in and he just took them to almost, for them at the time, dizzying heights. They went on a really good run of form. They were playing some really nice and intricate football, and they caused a lot of issues for some teams in the Championship. They have done really, really well. He has been a great appointment in terms of, he kept them up after a real mess last season for QPR. And if he has studied Torap's plan in his game plan rather, then it's got a side that can cause issues. But again, you go back to the fact that Elias Chair, Karamoko Dembele aren't playing, 2 of probably QPR's most creative players. They are in danger, and they don't have Sam Field, one of their better defensive-minded midfielders, to play, who, again, in terms of that, and maybe having that physical defensive presence, where Norwich can look to try and exploit that. There is a lot of things which point this game into Norwich City's favour. They have got players coming back from injury, like Nunez and like Gunn as well, and they've got players who are really starting to find form, like Stacey, Marcondes, Sinat. So really, you look at it on paper, and Norwich, even though both teams haven't lost in 3 matches, Norwich should still be the favourite. They should be coming into this game with a lot of renewed confidence, having won back-to-back matches, and they can continue to just ride that wave of momentum which they're on. But when you're away from home, any game away from home is difficult, because you don't have anywhere near as many fans to cheer you on and get behind you and be loud and try and silence away supporters. So it's going to be tough. And Norwich, they'll be playing in front of a sold-out away end. So anyone who's going, of course, as always, has got to support the team and get them through the tough moments. But on paper, it's a game Norwich really should win. They should win it. It's not a must-win in terms of they have to make sure all 3 points are gotten to continue their run in the Championship. But QPR, again, they'll be bang up for it. 3 matches undefeated. You're at home against a team who aren't all that great away from home. Why wouldn't you fancy yourselves? And you want to upset the bigger team in the division. You want to maybe say QPR do go a goal up. I would like to think they would happily sit back and frustrate Norwich, because that's what any team would look to do. And Norwich do usually struggle to break down low blocks of defences, but then that's where you maybe need to be a bit patient in your build-up and just not go into rash decisions. But anyway, to sum it all up, Norwich, were going to Loftus Road, and they'll be in high spirits. They'll be looking to gain all 3 points away from home to continue their pursuit of the playoff places. Queen's Park Rangers, much like the Canaries, 3 undefeated. They'll fancy their chances at home of really upsetting Norwich's momentum for the time being, and just putting a dent into Norwich City's almost sort of resurgence up the Championship table. But along my started 11, which is just to the right of me, let me know in the comments what you would go with. Would you make any more changes than myself with just the 1, or maybe would you go completely unchanged and you just go into it with the exact same team? Because why change a winning team? Who knows? We will wait and see come Saturday evening. It's goodbye for now, and we'll see you all for the next video of ours here on the channel.